so welcome everyone, whether you're watching now in our live session here for the Fall Nutrition Series or later on IGTV. Thank you for joining. My name is Mike. I'm a sport coordinator here in Athletics and Recreation. Today we're going to do sweet potato salad. So I did send out the ingredients beforehand. So you should have a list of everything that you're going to need already. Hopefully you've already gathered those together, and I'm going to kind of skip through those a little bit and kind of get ready to how to prepare for this meal. So obviously this is a fall nutrition series, so we're trying to focus on, I guess, maybe kind of typical fall type vegetables that you might see at either Thanksgiving or any just kind of dinner that's in season. So sweet potato is always used for many purposes for in the fall. So you'll notice I have a second camera somewhere here, and it's going to be pointing down. It's a bird's eye view, just kind of on the cutting board here, just so you can kind of see how I do it, and then you can kind of adjust, adapt to how you wish to do it to prepare. And this is the best part about cooking, is that you do your own thing, and it's a way of self-expression, and you get to enjoy it at the end. So it's the whole point of doing this is really to not only learn a couple different new recipes, but also learning how to enjoy the process and not just the end result, right? And forgive me, I do have a dog and a cat here that'll be eating and drinking and stuff like that, so you might hear that. Okay, so let's get started here. So just as a quick recap of the ingredients, obviously we need our sweet potatoes. I have prepared half of it already. So you'll have obviously your sweet potatoes. I did 4, but I plan on having some leftovers. And these are like small to medium, or you can do 2 large ones. It's really up to you. But you're going to find out here in a second when you're cutting them into the cubes, it'll affect how you prepare them, how big you get the potato. You're going to need some red onion. So I've cut 1 in half already to prepare the red onion. Nice and simple. Yeah, and the idea here is to make a recipe that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, that this is something that's attainable. So extra virgin olive oil or any kind of olive oil is fine. You should already have that on hand, or some kind of oil that'll be your friend there. We're going to need some salt and pepper, nice and simple. If you want to change it up, you can do some kosher salt or some sea salt, totally up to you, depending on the flavor. We have some dried cranberries, so I picked these up as well from the grocery store, and that'll range anywhere from $1.50 to $3. And it's just kind of dried cranberries, so we're going to use that for the salad. I've got some apple cider vinegar. This was 99 cents at No Frills, so really good deal. And some honey mustard. So for this particular recipe, it does call for honey. So what I did was, instead of doing honey and mustard, I literally just did honey mustard, which is a total cost-saving thing, that a hack, I guess. But if you really wanted that authentic kind of raw honey in there, that flavor that really comes out, then you obviously use honey separately. But I didn't think it was quite necessary to make it overly sweet. With the apple cider vinegar, it's going to be plenty. And you can always add some cinnamon just to kind of change it up. And as well, we have our feta cheese. This one usually can't find a deal on. This is usually always, $5 or $6. So this is the thing out of everything that probably costed the most, was a huge percentage of the recipe that we tried to keep under $25. So this is a crumbled feta cheese, which we'll use on the salad. And then as well, we have some parsley. So what I did was I bought some fresh parsley leaves, okay? And this, again, you can buy it dried, the spice, or you can get fresh parsley leaves, and that's what I did. And also you could do oregano or basil, any of those kind of will work fine as well, but we're gonna call for parsley on this one, okay? All right, and then just to add a little bit of spice to it, again, I said you could use cinnamon or cumin. I'll do a bit of both, but I am gonna use some cumin again, like $1.50, $2. Okay, all right, so let's get started. What we're going to do is preheat the oven. So warm up your oven to 400 degrees. Again, we're time sensitive for this workshop, so I've kind of already prepared it, worked a little bit of TV magic, obviously, for you, and prepared half of it. But you're going to do 20 minutes. So preheat that oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit while you're preparing everything else. And this is really easy. It's not a lot that goes into this recipe. It's a salad, right? There's no meat involved. So there's not really any cooking other than just the baking of it after. Okay, so here's the fun part. So if you want to either switch to the camera, if you can, or if you can see it is the overhead camera that I have here for the cutting board. Otherwise, you can see me doing it here. So the best way to do it, to get the cubes for the potato salad, for the sweet potato salad, is to take it. So take that full sweet potato, go ahead and cut off the ends with minimal wastage. So try to keep those ends like really, really small so that you're not chopping off a third of the sweet potato, right? Now, this is totally subjective based on your preference of the taste. I actually really enjoy the skin of a sweet potato. So the recipe that I'm kind of doing is a peeled sweet potato, but that is up to you. It saves more time to not have to do it. And I actually prefer the taste of when I ever do a sweet potato fries or anything, is to keep the skin on the sweet potato, and there's some nutrients in there. So you don't have to peel, but if you wanted to, now's the time where you would peel that. And what you're going to do is you're just going to cut it in half cross-sectionally. So you're not going to cut the vertical line, you're going to cut through the middle horizontally so that you get cut in half. Okay? So a lot of people kind of struggle, they'll mess it up and they'll cut. And I'm like, how do I get the cubes or the sweet potato fry shape that I want? So cut them in half that way. And then what you're going to do is you want to cut this, let's just say down the middle again, lengthwise. Okay. And now you have that one in half, these big giant wedges. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut them into fries. So if you're doing sweet potato fries, I would do 4 strips. So you're going to kind of eyeball it here. So 1, 2, 3 cuts. I've got 4 strips. Okay. The 1, 2, 3, 4 sweet potato fry shapes, if you will. And then from there, it's quite simple. This is not rocket science, okay? But like a lot of people don't have the patience to do this, so that's why I'm walking you through. So you're gonna cut 1, 2, and then maybe 3, and then there you have it. You have your cubes, and there you go. And again, from the other camera angle, you have your cubes. Throw that in a large bowl. So if you have a large bowl, go ahead and throw them in there. And let's keep this going. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, so that you have 4 strips. 1, 2, 3, and there's your cubes. Okay, let's keep that going now onto the other half. Slice down the middle, lengthwise. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then again 1, 2, 3. There's your cubes, and finally 1, 2, 3. Pour that into your large bowl. And just to kind of show you quickly again, here's our overhead shot. There is our sweet potato cubes, and there you have it again. So that's the base. That's your main part of the salad, of the sweet potato salad, is your cubes, and that's how to get them in that shape. Okay. Next, what you do is you cut up the onion. So I've got my red onion here, and just forgive me, go ahead and peel off skin. And we're doing thin slices, or you can dice it, totally up to you. Let's say if we do thin slices, just kind of so. If you can see on the overhead shot, so that you have them like so, and then you can take them and you have the individual slices, and then throw that in the mix. And this is where all the flavor comes from. This isn't so much for the substance in there. You're not looking at adding chunks of onion. It's really just to add flavor with the potato. Okay. And when you're done cutting the other half of the onion, you're going to add them to your bowl. And you have the onion and the sweet potato. And that's all for vegetables and anything that's going in here. That's it. Okay. So overhead shot, there's those sweet potato cubes with our onion. Okay. Now, so I do have a couple more potatoes, but I'm going to save them because I've already prepared half of them. But if you want to go ahead and continue doing that as I read off some of our next steps, you can continue prepping your sweet potato cubes. So there's 2 parts to this recipe. The first one is obviously the sweet potatoes. The second is the dressing that we're using for the salad, if you will. Okay, so making your homemade dressing is such a cost-efficient way of getting creative in the kitchen. Sorry, I've got a bee coming in here. So that's really the best thing you can do, is to make your own. So apple cider vinegar is always really good. Balsamic vinegar, really any of those kind of vinegars are really great. Olive oils, things like that you can use as the base for for your homemade dressing, as opposed to buying one for $3 or $4 and it's really fatty and lots of sugar. So try to make your own and don't be too liberal with it. Like try to be nice and easy. So the next part, what we're going to do is, now that you have your cubes, is we're going to add our olive oil, salt, and pepper. So I like to eyeball most of my things when I'm cooking. I kind of add a splash here, a sprinkle there. I just toss it in. And I'm really bad for not measuring properly. So you really should use some measuring cups. And I think for this one, I have, what did I say for olive oil? We're going to do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So this is about half of this one here. Okay, so again, don't go too crazy because you're going to do, this is just for the sweet potato, and then we have to do it for the dressing after. So what you're going to do now is add that to the bowl where you have the onion and the sweet potato, add your olive oil, okay? We will be doing a little bit more oil after, and that's for the dressing. Okay, so now we're gonna mix that in. If you can see the overhead shot, just kind of give it a nice little toss. Okay, just kind of mixing it together. All right, so there we go. Now we're gonna add our salt and pepper. So if you do have it, I always recommend buying some sea salt. It's certain recipes that really kind of like pops. Something about it just really has a unique flavor as opposed to regular table salt. But we'll just use table salt for demonstration purposes. Again, I'm not measuring this, so just kind of do a dash of salt or a couple dashes. So there we go. Same thing with our ground black pepper. Just a little bit, but it's your meal. Do what you want here. And go ahead and shake that up. Okay, perfect. So now we've mixed up nice and easy our sweet potato cubes, our onion, our olive oil, and our salt and pepper. Okay, so that's the base. You're going to be baking this now. Remember, your oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you've preheated it, you want to get the oven tray ready, and you're going to pour this on that oven tray. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to grab that tray, and I'm going to pour everything we just did in the bowl. Make sure that you spread it out. So now you have everything on the baking tray. And let's just say our oven is preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to throw that in the middle rack. And this is going to be about, let's say 20 minutes, but I'd say 15 is more than enough, depending on how powerful, how quickly your oven heats up, but about 15 minutes is really all. Remember, this is for a salad, so we're not cooking any meats or anything like that, so you don't have to worry. It's really just a kind of consistency, that texture of the sweet potato. You could do this raw, but it's going to be a little hard to chew and break down the sweet potatoes if they were just raw. So obviously, you could do 10 minutes instead of 15. It's totally up to you. But to get the best consistency and nice texture, and to really let the oils and everything get into the sweet potato, let's say 15 minutes. Okay, so set the timer 15 minutes. While you're doing that, let's just start our dressing and our other toppings that we're going to use for the sweet potato salad. Okay, all right, so you're going to keep an eye on that. So grab a small bowl, just like a regular kind of bowl. All right, and what we're going to do for our dressing, we're going to start with the apple cider vinegar. This is probably the most important part of the dressing. So 2 tablespoons. So again, that's my guy here. I've got my apple cider vinegar. We've done a couple other recipes that require this one. If you want to check out our video library, it's always a good thing to buy just for baking, cooking. It's just a good thing for flavor. So 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And you're going to add that to your bowl. Okay. Next, I believe, is the mustard. So I went with honey mustard. You could also do Dijon mustard, but it's or even just regular mustard if that's what you have in your fridge. Don't go out and buy other things. It's not necessary. Try to use what you have, and that's kind of our philosophy. Is you should open up your cupboard or your fridge and have half of these ingredients already, because then you can do it for other things, and you don't have to keep going and buy stuff. It's more cost efficient. But if you're really particular and you really want that flavor, then sure, go ahead and get the Dijon or the honey mustard. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of that. So we'll just do a dash in my measuring cup here. And again, I've got the honey mustard. Actually, you know what? That's gonna be hard to get out. I'm just right into the bowl. And I'm gonna eyeball it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Next up is the, I think we're gonna do some oil and spices. So same thing. So we'll do maybe just 1 tablespoon of olive oil, depending on how many people you have. Okay. And the spices. So for the spices, this is just your salt and pepper. And then we're also going to do our cumin and / cinnamon, or both. Okay. So salt and pepper is the same thing. It's just kind of like a dash, just a little bit, just for that flavor. And I have cumin. So for cumin, what I was going to do is ½ tablespoon. And again, I don't have a measuring cup for something that small. So I'm just going to go crazy here. I actually really like cumin. I like the spice. I love cooking with it. So if you don't have to do as much. But cumin's always a really good one to have for cooking. And as a bonus, if you really wanted them a little bit extra flavored, and what I would recommend doing is grabbing some ground cinnamon. And at the end, not on the dressing, but when you pull the sweet potatoes out and you have them in your bowl, the final product, which I have here, what you're going to do is you're going to take your cinnamon. And again, this is optional. I'm doing it. You don't have to, because I'm just putting a little bit of cinnamon here. And then I'm going to mix that up. And it just adds a little something extra. It's really fall-like. It just reminds me of like a fall meal, Thanksgiving, or some pies or something. So if you want that kind of nostalgia, add some cinnamon in the mix with your sweet potato. It's really nice. And you don't need any dip or anything like that after. It just gives it enough flavor. So definitely love it, love it, love it. So that's your sweet potato. That's the finished product that was already baked earlier. And I added some cinnamon. So back to the dressing. What we're going to do is whisk together. I actually like using these. These are like little brushes for cooking where you can marinate things. I find that really helps with mixing the dressings. So again, overhead shot, mixing the apple cider vinegar, the oil, and the honey mustard. And then I added salt and pepper and some cumin for our spice. And depending on how thick it is or the viscosity, then you can add a little bit more honey mustard. Okay, so that is our dressing, and that's going to go on. So what you do is after you've pulled out the finished product from the oven, you're going to add it to the bowl, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to pour your dressing on to the sweet potato. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Again, just the overhead shot if you want to see. I'm pouring that in there. Okay, perfect. So now the fun part, because this is where all the lots of extra flavor comes in, is the cranberries and the feta cheese. Okay, so this is what's going to give it some more sweet flavor, some more kind of Thanksgiving themed tastes, is to add the cranberries. So I believe for the dried cranberries, we were going to go for about ½ cup. So I've got my guy here, and we got our bag of dried cranberries. We're going to add that in. Perfect, that's about ½ cup. Whoop. Add that into the bowl. Sorry, you can't see the overhead one there. There she is. And we're going to do our feta cheese. I love feta cheese. I'm going to try not to go too crazy here, but if I do, it's not the end of the world, right? So crumbled feta cheese, ½ cup as well. Try not to waste any, so I'll pour it over the bowl. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to add that into my bowl. And then to finish, this is totally up to you as well. And you've got your parsley leaves, and I'm going to add them in. And some people are different, but I like to just kind of like pluck them off, just kind of how I do like my cilantro or dill or some of those other herbs that I just like that. That's kind of what I will do. It's completely up to you. You could even put that on the frying pan with a little bit of oil for like a couple minutes, but this is enough. And you just get that extra flavor. Okay, so it says about ¼ cup or ½ cup, but it's kind of up to you. That's just the guideline. So I'm going to add that in there. And this is what it looks like with all the ingredients. Okay, and I'm going to mix that together. And remember, I've got another ½ of sweet potato that I would add to this. So once that's done, I'm going to pull that out of the oven and I will add the second half, which will complete my portion here. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll add that to a bowl. So forgive me while I do this. Okay. And there you have it. So this is the finished product. That is your sweet potato salad, our nice fall nutrition meal that we've done here today. I'll give you a little bit of an overhead shot. Hopefully that looks a little bit appetizing on your end. And you can't go wrong though. When you got sweet potato, which is great, nutritious, delicious, and you've got the feta cheese, the cranberries, the oils, the apple cider vinegar, you just can't go wrong. And this wouldn't be intended to be an entire meal. This would be either a great lunch or snack or a side with your dinner. So if you're gonna have a nice kind of turkey or ham or pork or vegetarian meal, whatever it is, this could be a great side with your dinner. I don't think you'd be eating this just on its own for a dinner, but definitely for a snack or a lunch. So again, that is our sweet potato salad. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for following us here and participating and learning a new recipe that you can try and impress your family and friends with, and just kind of change up your routine if you're doing the same meals all the time and Taco Tuesdays and Pizza Friday or whatever it is. Try something new. Try all of the ones we're doing, our 4 weeks workshop sessions. And you'll have a new arsenal of recipes that you can do for family dinners and contribute if you're doing a potluck and you have to bring something. Now you're going to bring this. You're going to bring a sweet potato salad, and I'll prepare that beforehand. Ideally, if you could, though, bake it on hand so that it is served a little bit on the warm side as opposed to cold where you've refrigerated it like a lot of other types of salads. I would highly recommend, I'd recommend just kind of serving it warm. So cooking it on the spot, and again, it won't take very long. So there you have it. There's your sweet potato salad. Thank you so much for joining our Fall Nutrition Wellness series. This is Mike. Take care, everyone. Be well. Thanks for tuning in.